Objects.
David, did you want to do it?
No. Okay. No.
I just wondered if it was
because if we stand, it'll be like where the banjo is. We need to raise it. Put it like halfway. In theory. You can sit here.
We gotta keep going. Don't much embarrassing.
Actually, you guys should both sit over there. Yeah, smooth isn't a magic to catered my retirement party on Friday and had like 2 cans of food left. They're supposed to separate the
Good morning. Welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. My name, if you haven't met me, is Ellen Greenwood, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Actually, my name is Ellen Greenwood, even if you have met me, come to think of it. We welcome those of you who are with us here in person and those of you who are joining us on YouTube, either in real time this morning or maybe later if you're watching this at some time in the future. We are very happy to have you here with us. Westside is a congregation who welcomes each person who wishes to join us in a free and responsible search for meaning and community. Our service this morning is a celebration of Earth Day. And we actually started our celebration a little earlier this morning during the spiritual practices gathering. Yetta led a group of several people out around our grounds to listen for birds and look for birds and look for objects of nature on our church property here, and they brought quite a few things in for our nature, our Earth Day altar here in the center of the room. Several of us brought items from home, And I think it gives us a beautiful centerpiece to concentrate. And if you have brought something and haven't had a chance to place it up there, please go ahead and do so. If you are joining us from home, I invite you to find something that reminds you of nature to contemplate. Something you can place near your device that you're watching on, or maybe you're even fortunate enough to sit by a window or go out on a deck, but try to get in a mood and a position to honor our earth this morning. Those of you who are here in person, are invited to join us for coffee and conversation immediately following the service. And especially if you're visiting with us, we would love to have you stay and visit with us after the service. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about Westside, there are pamphlets that might help with learning about this congregation and also Unitarian Universalism over by the window, just back near the coffee. So, your announcements are in the order of service, and each and every one of these announcements is very important. If you're watching from at home, there should be announcements scrolling across your screen. We all need to, pay attention to all of them and know what's going on in our church. One in particular I want to highlight this morning, and that is that Earth Church of East Tennessee will be meeting here today at 3 p.m. And so if you would like to attend Earth Church, be sure and remember that it is this afternoon. As we celebrate Earth Day and contemplate our beautiful centerpiece here, another thing that we use to help us to focus and shut out all the crazy things that keep pulling at us from outside this room is to invite our Tibetan singing bowl to sing for us. And at this time, Chris Edkins will invite our bowl to sing. The words for our chalice lighting will be read by Mary Frances Milligan, and Carrie Keeling will be lighting the chalice, and also our candles of good news and bad news.
Today's chalice lighting words come from the Reverend Laura Bogle, an East Tennessee native and former minister at Foothills Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Maryville. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these old mountains that hold us steady to our ground, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place, the wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it. the Cherokee, the settlers, the mountaineers, the farmers, the hunters, the immigrants, the artists, the families, the explorers, the business people, the engineers, the builders, the scientists, the teachers, the workers, the leaders. We inherit their choices. We honor the animals and creatures that have made their home in this land, the ones here now and the ones that used to be here. We envision the future generations who will live on this land and let their voices fill our hearts. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. Our planet and its inhabitants are suffering in alarming ways, a few of which we will highlight in our service today. We light our bad news candle this morning for migrating birds. Millions of birds killed each spring and fall migration by running into illuminated windows of buildings at night. Last October 4th, 954 dead birds were collected below the windows of McCormick Place, the Chicago Convention Center, where the 2024 Democratic Convention will be held. It is estimated that over 2,000 birds died that night in Chicago. But the good news is that we humans can help reduce these deaths. In Houston, Texas, which is in the middle of the most important migratory pathway in the Americas, the local chapter of the Audubon Society has convinced skyscraper companies to turn off non-essential lights during prime migration time with excellent results. Other cities are following suit, including Chicago, where researchers have found that reducing the reflections on tall buildings work to prevent 60% of all bird collision deaths.
Thank you, Mary Frances and Carrie. At this time, we will all sing together. We're going to sing number 1064, Blue Boat Home. We're going to be accompanied by Yetta and Linda, and I'm going to ask the choir to come up to the front to help lead us, but I think we all know this one pretty well, so sing out so your neighbor will take courage. You should all give yourselves a hand. That sounded absolutely beautiful. It was wonderful. I'd like to say about this service today, I'm up here a lot, but this service was put together by the Green Sanctuary Committee here at Westside, and a lot of people have contributed to what goes on here this morning. So it's not just a one-person service by any means. As the effects of our warming planet continue to manifest around us, we become more aware of what we are losing. We're losing coral reefs around the globe, which provide habitat for so many ocean creatures. And these coral reefs are bleaching out and dying. We're losing forests and prairies that are engulfed in flames or bloom too early to feed the insects and birds that evolved in concert with them. The rains don't come to nurture the earth, but then they arrive in a torrent to flood the parched land and wash away precious soil. The rhythm of nature is disrupted, and our home, this home we share with all other life, is struggling to adjust. We are likely entering a mass extinction event. Today, on the eve of Earth Day, we want to honor our home and seek solutions to this crisis as we take the time to acknowledge all those, or at least some of those, already lost as the world feels the effects of global warming and climate change. And so we have a litany for those lost to climate change. And these will be, I think it's 12 representative groups, at least, that we should name and recognize and remember. We'll start with the oceans of our earth and the animals that inhabit them. Ocean circulation patterns are shifting in unpredictable ways. These shifts are making it more difficult, for example, for endangered whales to track food by following historical migration routes. And we'll remember the coral reefs in those oceans. Corals provide a home to more than a quarter of all marine life. Rising ocean temperatures and acidification has caused mass bleaching and die-offs. And we'll remember freshwater mollusks. We're going to cast one stone for all the mollusks, but I want to read these names. Mollusks are, I learned in putting this service together, the most endangered group of organisms in the United States. And 8 mussels were declared extinct in 2023. And they may be tiny, but they have wonderful names. The flat pigtoe, the green blossom pearly mussel, the southern acorn shell, the stirrup shell, the tuberculed blossom pearly mussel, the turgid blossom pearly mussel, upland comb shell, and yellow blossom pearly mussel. And I think we should also take note that 6 of these 8 mussels have been found in Tennessee. I can remember when Tennessee was known as the home of the Tennessee pearl, and they are now very, very rare. We will remember wild salmon. California has closed the Chinook salmon range again because water temperatures in the Klamath River are so high that few, if any, Chinook can reproduce. We will remember the Scioto Mad Tom. The Scioto Mad Tom was a small catfish found only in Big Darby Creek in Ohio. It was listed as endangered in 1975, but was last seen in 1957. And so it was declared extinct in 2023, lost because of silt accumulation from dams and runoff. And the San Marcos gambusia. This is a 1-inch long fish, and it lived in the clear spring water from the headwaters of the San Marcos River in Texas. The little Mariana fruit bat, also known as a flying fox. It lived in Guam and foraged on tropical fruits. It was last seen in 1968 and went extinct because of habitat loss from agriculture and military activity, and also from brown tree snake predation. The bridled white-eye is a green, yellow, and white tropical lowland forest bird from Guam that was 4 inches long. It became extinct because of predation from the invasive brown tree snake. And then we have a stone for Hawaiian species. In 2023, 9 Hawaiian species were declared extinct, and this included 8 species of beautiful honey creeper birds and 1 flowering plant. It seems that the Hawaiian birds are on the brink. In the case of the honey creepers, their forest habitats were razed by development and agriculture. Then the introduction of the island's mosquitoes, which are non-native insects that can carry avian pox and avian malaria, provided the nail in the coffin. And we'll have a stone there for Bachman's warbler. Bachman's warbler was a small yellow and black songbird that once bred in the swampy thickets of Alabama, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee, and overwintered in Cuba. It was seen in Cuba the last time in 1962, and it was declared extinct in 2023 due to habitat destruction and collection. And then we'll have 2 last stones, both of these for our species, for humans, for people. People lost to hunger. For example, in Somalia, Kenya, and Ethiopia, prolonged drought has killed crops and livestock, putting roughly 5 million people at risk of famine and starvation. And people lost to rising waters. In the Solomon Islands, entire villages were destroyed when 6 islands were submerged. Flooding has also submerged 1/3 of Pakistan and killed 1,300 people. Species are crucial for human survival. All people's food and most medicines come directly from plants and animals. Species also form the building blocks of ecosystems, which purify air and water, pollinate crops, cycle nutrients, moderate climate, and more. Every lost species threatens to unravel ecosystems and reduce the services that they provide. So we are all truly in an interdependent web with all other species. Let's take just a moment to meditate on these things, these species, and so many others that we have lost, as Sandra plays for us. At this time, I think Yetta has a story for all ages.
It's actually a poem for all ages. Don't have any children today, any young children, but I hope you will enjoy this.
I have to raise the mic for the short person.
Okay. This is a poem called One Broken Planet. If just one more habitat ceased to exist, why would it matter? There are lots on the list. 10 rainforests with trees line by line. Here come the diggers. Now there are 9. 9 sandy beaches, a blank golden slate. The water keeps rising, so now there are 8. 8 ancient woodlands stretch up to the heavens. Unstoppable wildfire means now there are 7. 7 clear skies, a blue and white mix, factory smoke gushes, and now there are 6. 6 brimming ponds where ducklings thrive. 1 pond fills with litter, so now there are 5. 5 giant oceans with wildlife galore. A ship's left an oil slick, so now there are 4. 4 jolly parks filling children with glee. A car park is needed, so now there are 3. 3 glistening glaciers, a beautiful view. The ocean gets warmer, and now there are 2. Too many people with too little done. We've used up our chances. We're left with just 1. 1 broken planet will never be the same. With each dying species, it's clear who's to blame. If just one more habitat ceased to exist, why would it matter? There are a lot on the list.
Well, this is sounding pretty dire, isn't it? And it is. There's no doubt about it. It truly is. But it's in our hands, and in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking about, what we can do besides just sit around and say, oh, woe is me, because we are the keepers of the earth. And so we are going to sing together. This is one that we have done in the past, so at least some of us know it. It's in an insert in your order of service. And the choir will come up and help to lead this. We'll sing it through 3 times, and for each verse we will sing change what it is that we are blessed by. So first will be rivers, then will be mountain, and then will be creature.
And we are born as keepers of the earth. We are born to speak its sacred word for our children, and our children's children, we are born as keepers of the earth. We are blessed by every mountain makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every mountain makes our soul, and we are born as keepers of the earth. We are born to seek its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are born as keepers of the earth. We are blessed by every creature. Every creature makes us whole with its riches and its beauty. Every creature makes us whole, and we are born as keepers of the earth. We are born to speak its sacred word for our children and our children's children. We are born as keepers of the earth.
And at this time, Elizabeth Greenwood is going to speak with us about ways that that we can put our love for the earth into action and help us start thinking of our own ideas.
I think I need to raise this up a little bit. There we go. Can you hear me okay? All right, thank you, Ellen. And good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see everybody here and y'all joining us on the internet. I don't have most of this memorized, so forgive me. I will be reading here. I was saddened and a little bit scared by the litany that we went through, but there are things that we can do. Although policy decisions are a big driver of how the climate crisis is and will be addressed, there is much that we as individuals can do right now to make a difference. The Green Sanctuary team has come up with a few suggestions on what we can each do. We want to hear from you also. If you have suggestions to share, something that you are maybe doing at home or thinking of doing, raise your hand. Ellen will bring a microphone around to you. And if you are participating online, you can type it into the chat box and we'll read it out for you. There's a table at the back with information resources from the things that we've been mentioning today, so you can go home and put into action the love that you feel for our earth. Habitat loss and pesticides are decimating the pollinating insect populations. We can help by providing them native flowering plants for food and coverage. You can order seeds from the Tennessee Department of Transportation's pollinator program. You can go online and sign up, and they will send you the seeds, and you can plant them in your yard. In fact, landscape your yard with native plants and provide water features for wildlife. That is a huge way to help all of the animals and the creatures that are disappearing here in Tennessee in our own backyards. The migrating birds get confused by our cities that are all lit up at night. We can help by encouraging our elected leaders to adopt policies that reduce light pollution and to participate in the annual Lights Out program. That's what the city of Houston and Chicago and many other cities around the world are doing even now to help the migrating birds. Any suggestions out there yet? I will keep reading. Are you raising your hand? Okay. Don't mow your lawn in the early spring when the first wildflowers are sprouting and the pollinators are emerging from winter hibernation as hungry as little flying bears. This is known as no mow May elsewhere, but around here, it's probably to be more effective to do this in April, but even better yet, stop raising a lawn that you have to mow. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that mow a lawn and say, I'm really tired of doing this. So get rid of the lawn and put in a wildflower meadow, plant natives, and stop mowing them. Be mindful of your food purchases. It takes vast amounts of water and energy to grow and transport what we eat, and if that food goes uneaten, it is wasted resources, wasted time, and a waste of your money. If you do have food waste, compost it rather than putting it in the trash. Then use it in your yard. Try a worm composter if you don't have enough room to put in a big composter or dig a hole and turn it. Eat a more plant-based diet. It's better for your health and the health of the planet. Try to eat locally produced and organic if you can. In 2017, it was estimated that the U.S. was responsible for more than 25% of the excess CO2 already in the atmosphere, despite having less than 5% of the global population. You can help by learning about your personal carbon footprint and how you can reduce it by making simple changes to actions you take every day. There's actually a course that I have taught before, and I have considered maybe presenting it here if there's enough interest. It's your carbon diet, and it's reducing your carbon footprint. 5,000 pounds in a year, they say. Buy pre-owned rather than new. If we start buying things that other people don't want anymore, then less has to be produced, and that uses up less resources. Anybody? Yes?
We do a lot of what you said already, but I would encourage people, if you're going to switch out your exterior lights around your house, or if you have spotlighting for your plants, please put it so it's down facing, so that the birds and the bats and the fireflies that we love so much here in Tennessee have a better lifespan.
Yes, that is an excellent suggestion. Anybody else?
One thing I've enjoyed doing for years is contributing to the Nature Conservancy, because they actually buy up, wilderness land, wonderful forested land, so that it can never be taken away as habitat for the birds and the creatures. And they do buy land in Tennessee, and they have a really interesting newsletter that will feature when they've made recent purchases, such as in the Cumberland Plateau area.
That's a wonderful suggestion. Yes, support organizations.
So on YouTube live stream, Curtis was saying in their Wednesday group, they were talking about no mow May, and maybe put up a cute sign in the yard so people understand the purpose.
Oh.
So, because that helps with the bees and stuff and everything.
I don't know what that is.
Where you don't, most subdivisions mow, I don't know if I said mow every single week, but if you let the grass grow up, more bugs and...
What does the sign say?
I think they're suggesting to put up a sign in your yard, the reason why it's looking so ragged. I'm participating in no mow May.
I have a sign that says ignore the weeds or whatever, just for fun. It's just like a cute, silly thing or something.
I'm not lazy, I'm supporting the bees.
I'm supporting the bees. And I have these little shallow, I feed the bugs the water. I have little, if you have shallow dishes and put marbles or rocks in it, all the bugs can drink water. Because I feel bad for the bugs sometimes. And then my husband gets angry because then there's wasps and everything else, but
they all have their place in the cycle of life.
I'm trying to feed all the little bugs.
Good deal. That's great.
That's good. I'm still trying to figure out the place of some bugs, but mosquitoes. fire ants. I was so happy that none of our nature walk people brought in any fire ants from the yard this morning.
It is also capable, you're capable of taking community action. As some of you may know, my significant other is the director of the Roane State Community College Astronomy Observatory out near Rockwood. And several years ago, we undertook efforts to, and it's been really affected by light pollution, both from Harriman and also from around the lake when people are building houses and putting up what we refer to as glare bombs. So we took it on ourselves to try to get some actually the regulatory bodies in the community to change their lighting policies for new developments. So we used to go to the Roane County Commission, Development Commission meetings and do presentations for them. We emailed all of their people. We got people that passed out postcards for people to mail out. We had brochures that we passed out at like Earth Fair celebrations. And Roane County actually did implement a policy for new developments with improvements in full cutoff lights that direct glare downwards in new developments. So it is possible, and it was just a few of us, working hard. It was a long time ago, but it can be done.
That is awesome. Yeah, yeah. Yetta has one?
Yeah, and similar to the light being a barrier to mating, communication between insects, sound is also a problem. If the soundscape has gotten so loud that birds can't hear each other, then they can't find each other to mate. So, getting electric mowers, can cut down, is one way to cut down on the sounds in the summer, and other things like that. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, so some of you know, my husband calls me the trash lady, but I volunteer with a couple of organizations that do trash cleanup in the area. And for example, yesterday we pulled 2,700 pounds of trash out of the Great Smoky Mountains, out of the Smokies, the park, yesterday in the rain. That was fun. 2,700 pounds.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but 2 years ago, we pulled over 6,000 on Earth Day, so I think it's getting better. We pulled out all the historical trash. But it's even worse. We've noticed in the lakes, we consistently pull about 6,000 pounds of trash out of Watts Bar Lake every few months. And so, but kind of based on what I've seen, people will do what is easiest. And so if you are outside being recreational, I know that boating's very popular in this area, just bring a trash bag. If you're going hiking, if you're going kayaking, just, bring a bag for your trash, because people will do what's easiest. And so, I feel like I'm, preaching to the choir here, but, be a good example. So if you're out with someone and they want to just throw something away, and part of it is cultural, like a lot of us have grandparents who just threw their trash off the side of the mountain. Just be like, hey, I got a bag, why don't you put it here? One of the things that Disney World does is that they put trash cans every 10 feet. So, the easier it is for people to do the right thing, the more they will do it. So, if we're involved in any sort of planning or anything like that, remember trash cans. It's not sexy, but it is important. And also, I've seen people drive long distances to throw away stuff so they don't have to pay a small dump fee at their county facility. So, maybe advocate for fee-free days or other ways to make things easier. So that's one of the biggest things I see is people do what's either free or easy. And, be a good example and you keep that in mind. So.
I've got the best secondhand clothing store out in Lenore City. It's called the Good Neighbor Store. I buy so many of my clothes there. Cheryl and I both do. We say to each other, you know where I got it. And they donate a lot of their proceeds and profits to organizations and schools in Loudoun County, which is wonderful. And if you're thinking, well, I like upscale clothing, they have a boutique department. You can get things like Talbot's and Liz Claiborne and Ann Tyler and Chico's. And if you're also thinking, well, it's a long way to Lenoir City, you can stop at the Ugly Mug, which is a locally owned place. They got great coffee and Danish. Make it a day trip. And they're open late on Tuesdays.
Sweet.
This is sounding like a field trip.
I just wanted to quickly, we were talking about trash, and it makes me think of recycling. I regularly work with a dog rescue that's downtown in Sequoia Hills, near UT. I don't know if you realize that UT has a recycling center off John Cronin Avenue. They take glass. Most of our recyclers will not take glass. If you just have a box in the kitchen or wherever in the garage and you can save your glass, they sort it by color, and they take everything else. So if you're overwhelmed with cardboard boxes, and you're down there anyhow for glass, it's just a marvelous resource to have available.
Indeed, yes. There's glass collection places all around the city of Knoxville also. They have a separate program. You just can't put glass in your regular recycling because when it breaks, it messes up the machinery and they're not able to handle the glass. So recycle it in other ways. There's also a company, I think it's a for-profit organization, that goes around and collects glass also. I saw something about them in the News Sentinel a little while back.
So I'm wearing pants I bought at AMVets, so you can, recycle plus help the veterans. But what I really had in mind was that my daughter, who lives in a suburb of Philadelphia, has a dog. And every time she walks her dog, she takes a trash bag with her and picks up trash every time she walks the dog. Where I live in a condominium, which is right by apartments. There's a little stretch of road that's kind of a no man's land, and I pick up trash there.
Nice.
Many of us think of Tennessee as a state that has a lot of farmland, and there's a real culture of farming in Tennessee. Tennessee is at the top of the list for losing farmland. We are losing farmland at a stunning rate in Tennessee as small family farms are sold for housing developments and for what we out in farm country call the McMansions, where somebody wants to have 5 or 7 acres to, grow a few little things, but have their really, really, really big house. We've seen in our area probably about 1,000 acres just in our neighborhood that's gone just in the last year. So anything you can do to support your local farmers so that they can financially be able to continue to grow food locally, that is a big help. Shop your farmers markets. We have a lot of farmers markets, and we have a culture in Tennessee where farmers markets are available. So if you can buy as much of your food as possible that is being produced here, not only does it help those individual farmers, but it helps our whole ecosystem as a state, because we are seeing massive population issues with the species, with the birds and the bats and the deer and the turkeys and the bobcats and the foxes and all the other creatures that need our farmland to survive, and they cannot survive in subdivisions.
That's right. Yetta has one.
And on the topic of farming, there's a lot of nuance in that because, the large farms are using a lot of chemicals, and they can be very damaging to the environment because producing nitrogen fertilizer is a very costly thing in terms of greenhouse gases, and it's really unbalancing our nitrogen cycle. And there's also a land conservancy, I think trust, I think is the word, land conservancy trust, where farms can be turned over to them in order to preserve the land. So that's something else to support. And then for your garden or yard, you can apply to be a wildlife habitat. So we've got a sign in our yard, and I think the Dudneys have also done this, and I hope we can do it here, where you meet certain elements of how you're managing your, even a small, less than an acre yard, by providing water elements, like you mentioned, and not using chemicals, and planting native flowers. So.
Whoa, this is a great response, y'all. Yeah. Hey.
Let's see. So Curtis said, I wonder if these ideas would be helpful as volunteer hours for Tennessee Achieve students. Getting students involved would be awesome. And then Diane was like, thank you. Or she says, I miss glass recycling. That's good to know. Apparently I don't need to be reading things because I can't read. And then Curtis said, supporting businesses who are environmentally responsible is helpful too. We can drive by how and where we spend our money. And Knoxville is a new place. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I follow it on Facebook, but I've not been there yet. And you can take your bottles. They have like soaps and lotions and shampoos, and you go refill your bottle there. Nice. And then they try to get all sorts of environmentally good stuff in the store too, but I've still not been there, but it looks really neat. And then there's a craft place that's downtown Knoxville also that recycles craft stuff.
Oh, nice.
Like where you can just go in for free and just grab whatever, and they do classes sometimes, which I think is so cool. But
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, both these businesses that Bridget mentioned are in South Knoxville. I've been to Knoxville, and yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, and you can get all kinds of laundry products, and they have a body wash that I particularly like, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, to just answer Curtis's question, the groups I volunteer with, we have a lot of Tennessee Promise and UT Promise students getting their service hours. So it's something that if you have someone who's in your life who qualifies or uses those, yeah, we love those teenagers coming and doing stuff. But one thing I did was, since someone mentioned, Bridget mentioned Facebook, I know there's one for Farragut, and there's also one for the Bluegrass area. There are community gifting groups all throughout, so if you don't even want to drive to a secondhand store, you can basically, like, for example, I have this old pair of jeans I don't wear anymore. Does someone want it? I guarantee you 5 people in this group will say, I'd like those jeans. And you just put it on your front porch and someone will come get it. And so it's a great way for us to, do secondhand stuff. I've gotten like furniture and all sorts of stuff. I've gifted away, my kids' bunk beds because I don't use those anymore. And so just all sorts of things. It's a great thing. I've actually met wonderful people in our community. And yeah, even things like, I don't like this granola bar. Does anyone like this box of granola bars? People are like, I like those granola bars. And they'll come get them. And so, I think that's a great way. Just search for community gifting. There's one for Farragut. There's one for Bluegrass, which I live in Concord. And so it's a good way to, do community exchange as well. And I think that's important also, is just get community buy-in.
Yeah. There's a listserv called Trash Nothing that does the same thing. You list something, or you can look on their list of what's being offered.
He has been waiting all day long.
Who have I been missing?
Is there somebody over here? While he's bringing the microphone over to that person, I have one here. Electrify your home. The next time a major appliance needs to be replaced, buy an electric one. Stove, water heater, furnace, lawnmower, buy electric. Burning natural gas in the home has a big impact on indoor air quality, which affects your health. So did we have a contribution over here?
Yeah, I was going to say, in combination with not mowing your lawn, also not raking your leaves.
Yes, don't rake your leaves. Leaves, as they decompose, feed the soil, but they also are a home for larval stages of various insects. And I know most of us don't really care for insects, but they are so important to the life cycle. You know, birds eat them, they improve the soil. Just some of them are fun to watch, like the fireflies, and I know we're losing the fireflies. I think I need to wrap this up.
Yes, I think I love the ideas that we're throwing around here, and especially those that involve working less, like not mowing your lawn and not raking leaves. I'm all about that. I want to be sure and point out there is a handout on the back table that Carrie put together for us, and it's got lots of good information on here. It's called Taking Action, and it's so much environmentalism involves policy, and if we can contact our elected representatives, we can have a voice in how policy is formed. So take one of these with you. It's got lots of stuff you might want to know all in one place. So it's great.
So Ellen was leading into my last comments here. We have mentioned the suggestions around here about policy changes, the cities getting the developers to turn off the lights in their tall buildings, things like that. Because policy is so important, learn about the issues and the positions that the candidates for elected office support, and then vote, and encourage your neighbors to vote, to learn and then vote. And remember that there is much that we as individuals can do, and the more people there are doing something, anything, the closer we get to restoring the balance of nature, honoring our home, and respecting the other lives we share on this planet. Thank you for sharing your ideas. This has been a great exchange. Ellen, I turn it back to you.
And I've lost my cheat sheets, so who knows what I'll say. But at this point in our service, and this leads well, I think, from what we've been talking about, we need to highlight how we give back, or how we give. Of course, as most of you know, thank you. We don't take up a plate offering anymore here at Westside, but we still do all the work, We have a wonderful congregation that's growing in, not just in number, but in energy and all kinds of ways, and that takes funding. So I think I heard something about a pledge campaign that might be going on. So remember, if you haven't turned in a pledge form, it would be lovely to do it soon. If you would like to give to Westside this morning or any other morning, we have a box right at the back of the room that you can put donations in, and it's also got a QR code right there if you prefer to do it electronically. There's information for those of you online to help you donate that way. And we have other ways that we contribute also. Our Share the Plate partner for this quarter is Knox Pride, and specifically, we are partnering with Knox Pride to help supply food and other items for their pantry. And I think in the Wednesday edition, there was more information on specifically the kinds of things that they need, but items that can be handed out to someone. And also, I believe certain toiletry items were on that list. So keep those in mind. And then there are our usual ways that we contribute to our community, particularly through the food pantry that we collect for here regularly. So there are all kinds of ways that we can contribute, and including with our time, when we come together and work together, that is possibly the biggest contribution that any of us make. I think at this time, Yetta has a benediction. Were you not? If not, I have one right here. You got it. Would you like that?
Okay. You want to join hands if you're willing and able, or else just hold your own hand. Those who dwell among beauties and mysteries of the earth are never alone or weary of life. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. The more clearly we can focus our attention on the wonders and realities of the universe, the less taste we shall have for destruction. Rachel Carson. Thank you, and have a great day.